All right, and we're going to go into the basics folder, and we're going to do materials. So we're going to go ahead and just open that material demo file. And while that's opening as well, go ahead and open the Materials Explained PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and maximize that viewport. Again, maximizing is bottom right toggle. And then we're going to apply some materials to this object here. So if I hit M on the keyboard, it'll bring up my material editor. Right, and some basic things about the material editor. Down at the bottom, of course, are all of my properties of this specific material. Right, I have my editor slots. These editor slots are not tied to the project or the object. So if I were to say that this piece, and you don't have to do this part, right, just to demonstrate, I make a magenta piece and I apply it to this material, right, and then I go to utilities and I reset that material editor slot, right, the materials themselves are tied to the object, not to the material editor. When I want to pull a material from an object, and we went over a little bit yesterday, is I select the object, use the eyedropper, and I can bring that material back into the editor window. Okay. Some other things, right on the right here are your viewing tabs, how I'm viewing the material in the editor. So if I double click on an object or a material, it's going to bring up the window, and I can view that as a sphere, I can view it as a cylinder, or I can view it as a cube. If I right click, I can drag and rotate that material in the viewport. If I right click on it again, I can reset that rotation. Usually we have a drag and copy on. I can change what the background is. So the background is for when we do like reflective materials and things like that. It's going to allow me to see how much reflection is occurring or how much refraction is occurring. And that's mostly everything on the right side. Now the bottom set of tools is going to allow me to get a material or a material library from either something that's preloaded, so on and so forth. If I want to apply materials, it's the third button over. I select an object and I can apply materials to objects that way. If I want to save my materials, I can put it to a temporary library, and under that get material function, I can right click on my material library and save that out as well. And then I can use it again on another project. If I want to change the name of a material, it's in the slot here. I can call it test, right? And when I put that onto my material, if I go to utilities and reset that editor slot, when I drag that back, it still retains that name of that material. Any questions so far? Okay. So some of the basic properties, of course, the most simplest one is going to be the diffuse channel. The diffuse channel is going to change the color of the object. If I click on diffuse, again, we've already done this. Make my object green. If I hit Shift Q on the renderer, it'll render my green object. How self-illumination works, right? It's going to give the object some brightness, right? The material is going to have some brightness value to it. And how most materials are working from here on out is working on this idea of a black and white scale. So instead of giving it a number value, they use a color value. So we'll imagine that white is 100%, black is 0%. And then anything in between is a percentage value of 0 or 1. So you think of binary code that way. So when we look at self-illumination and we see a color, it's not the color of the illumination, it's going to be a value of how much illumination is on that object. Right, so you can see no illumination, all illumination.